This is Taylor Nicole Dean. She began her YouTube career in 2015, making amateur videos of her unique pets while narrating behind the camera. For some reason, her channel took off, amassing a large audience in a short amount of time. Taylor continued making her videos about her pets as she collected more and more of them. And of course, Taylor couldn't help but use her assets to market her videos to her male viewers. This video is about excess. It's about a woman's crumbling life because of her failure to control her impulses. Thanks to YouTube, we can see the effect of a lack of masculinity on the psyche of a modern woman who was already entitled and narcissistic when she began her career. The last 5 years of this woman's life has been cataloged, and we have a front row seat to her descent.
Well up wherever the injection site is. Someone's calling my house. Why do we even have a house phone anymore? Go away, I'm making a video with my snake. These guys are rear-fanged, which means their fangs are in the back. Can you believe that that's what rear-fanged means? I know, I can't either. That's what they are, and there's someone talking, leaving a voicemail. Whatever, hopefully you can't hear it. Like I said, this video is a mess. Whatever.
Nicole's channel is devoted to exotic pet care. The girl has, in my estimation, hundreds of pets, costing her at least several $1,000s. Apparently, what I gathered, this hobby of collecting animals began before her YouTube career. It was facilitated by her father, who doled out the money for this weird obsession.
With 80 turtles. Yeah, that's right. It's quite a few. It's a lot, okay? A lot of turtles. Let's get to the story, shall we? So I went to go get my hair cut the other day, which you can never tell when I do because I have extensions in my hair. I was actually out running errands with my mom, so she dropped me off at the hairstylist. She went out and she continued to do her thing. And then when I was done, she came and she picked me up. Well, my mom made a big mistake. Or maybe not, because now I have 80 turtles.
In her early years as a YouTuber, her videos were exclusively about her pets. And as you can imagine, they are very cringy and unentertaining.
It's really hard living in this room. It is really cramped. There's really no way for it to be like crystal clean. Crystal clear is the correct term, but I just made up my own. Crystal clean. Why do my cats like not care what position I put them in? See how long he can go. Okay, I'm giving up.
As demonstrated by these clips, her content is dumb and insipid. But she quickly became popular on YouTube very early, which is a testament to what her vapid female fan base is willing to watch.
Question number 1. Why can't I take pictures of my hedgehog on its back? People always ask me that. They're like, I want to take cute pictures of my hedgehog on its back. Why won't my hedgehog let me? How do you get yours to stay calm? Here's the answer.
It makes you think what young modern women these days do with their time. They watch the most uninspiring crap. Just look at YouTube. It's just a bunch of nonsense makeup videos. For God's sakes, Taylor has 2 videos of her hedgehog that garnered her 556,000 views on one and over 1 million on another. There's another video where Taylor bathes her pets and it almost has 10 million views. Unbelievable.
It's 5 p.m. and I still have to refilm and it was all out of focus and there was lipstick on my tooth. I don't really know what's going on at this point.
At the point in Taylor's life when she started YouTube, she lived a similar life as most women these days in their early 20s. They have no value, they live at home, they work menial jobs, and when they have free time, they waste it by lying around all day, or in Taylor's case, have a useless and expensive hobby.
I actually cannot get over this napping turtle right here, guys. Look at him. He's just taking a little nap. He's just doing his best. God, I love that one right there. Love that one there with his little feet sticking straight out. How you doing, buddy? You just hanging in there? Get it? Because you're like hanging on.
Now in the video clip I just showed you, Taylor wastes all of this energy and time in saving these turtles, spending $500 for them because in her opinion, the people that were selling them on the side of the road were not housing them correctly. She has all this energy and empathy, but instead of putting it into children, she buys all 80 of these turtles.
They took the turtles, so we're good.
This behavior is so common with women these days. They go through their 20s wasting time and money on stupid stuff to entertain themselves. Society has dedicated untold amounts of money and time into training women in universities, because they want to be independent and have a career like men, when most of them don't even go into the career they were trained for. They put all this energy into frivolous crap instead of using their youth and beauty to secure a future for herself and her potential children. To all the men watching, do you know why you can't get into college for a worthwhile career? Or why your wages haven't risen for years? Or if you're unemployed, why you don't have a job? It's because entitled brats, like this one, insist on going to college and then forcing themselves into the workforce that they have no business of being in. Women are displacing men from universities and the workplace, decreasing the value of degrees and stagnating wages.
I bought a $2,200 ball python. Look at that angry eyebrow.
What an utter waste of money. In the following clip, she shows her pet crabs. Why does a young woman need a pet crab? Now we get into her decline. What was blatantly obvious to me when doing research on Taylor is the further you get into her career, the further she changes her appearance. Here she is in her first video. Here she is around the middle of her YouTube career. And here is her in one of her latest videos. As of late, she has abandoned her animal videos and is now putting out content that is similar to many other female YouTubers who just sit in front of a camera and bloviate about their life. Look at her. She has ruined herself with all those tattoos and lip collagen. Also, notice her pale and emaciated look. This is probably due to her heroin addiction. That's right, the dumb bitch has a heroin addiction. One of her last videos that she released, she addresses her addiction. She explains in the video that she met this guy named Johnny Craig, who's a musician apparently. I don't know him, but apparently he's semi-popular. And he's been accused of being a heroin addict, an abuser of women, and even a rapist.
Basically, I meet this guy online. I was a huge fan of his music, and I was flattered that someone that I thought was so talented was interested in someone like me. And there were a lot of red flags from the beginning that normally I would have been put off by, but I'm the kind of person that always sees the good over the bad and will sometimes completely ignore danger because of this tiny little nice thing I kind of see behind the wall of danger, you know?
Now, I don't know what this good over bad crap means, which is something women say when they don't really want to take responsibility. Johnny eventually moves in with Taylor, and it's not long after when the dysfunction begins.
Now, when we got sober, things did get good between him and I again. He was the boyfriend that I wanted. He gave me attention. He wasn't in some weird psychosis from drugs. He was there. He was present. He was helping me with my animals. He was going on errands with me. He was cuddling with me, watching movies with me. He was the boyfriend that I wanted. We stayed sober for quite a while, and then tour started, and I went on tour with him on and off, and I started using coke again. And every time I used coke, he would start with telling me that I could use it and that he wouldn't use opiates because he understood that I didn't act crazy on cocaine, but that he acted crazy on opiates, so that he could let me do coke and have fun at his shows, but he wouldn't touch anything. And again, at the time, I didn't fully understand addiction, so in my head I was like, okay, I don't act crazy on coke, so I'm gonna use it, and he can't use opiates because he does act crazy, and it's not my fault that he can't handle himself.
Allow me to give a synopsis because she rambles on and on about this crap. They went on several drug binges. Then they got sober. That vicious cycle repeated a few times. She became depressed and suicidal. Johnny was abusive to her, then he cheated on her. Despite this, she spent $40,000 to fix his rotting teeth, which was a result of his drug addiction. They both tried to get help for their addiction at expensive rehab, which, again, her YouTube money paid for. Then they relapsed. This happened over and over. She had several opportunities to leave him and stop the dysfunction, but of course, she didn't.
I could not believe what was coming out of his mouth. And that this man that I was literally ruining my career for, giving him all the money I had, lost my family over, lost my friends over, lost my credibility over. This man that I was willing to do anything for just asked to shoot heroin into my veins. I said no, and I told him to leave, and please not to leave him out in the cold alone, and played right into me. Knew exactly how I worked because I didn't know how to kick that man out and put him on the streets. I was so scared if I kicked him out that he would go get more heroin and overdose. At least if I let him stay, that I would know he was safe, and that if he did overdose, I could call the police and an ambulance. So I told him he could stay, but that we needed to flush it, and he said, well, I'm not gonna flush it, I'm gonna finish it. The thought came back to me of how it felt when I would use Vicodin, and I would be able just to sleep. No matter how crazy he was acting, no matter how miserable or hurt I was, that I was able to go numb. And I figured maybe injecting it was kind of like that. Since smoking didn't work for me when I tried to smoke heroin, I was like, maybe it'll be kind of like the Vicodin, you know? I kind of asked him, like, is it like the Vicodin? He's like, yeah, but it's a little stronger, but you'll just feel like a warm blanket is taking over your body, and you'll just be at peace. I was so miserable and so heartbroken, and he was starting to act kind of loopy. I couldn't get him to leave. I knew I wasn't going to be able to sleep all night, but I knew if I just used what he was using that I'd be able to sleep.
And this is how amazing women can be when they artfully craft stories to bend the narrative. I unfortunately watched this entire video, and not once did she take responsibility for her actions. Everything just happened to her. Nothing was her fault. Also, what kind of young, posh, middle-class woman needs to feel numb? What kind of upbringing did she have that required her to pursue drugs in the attempt to just feel nothing? Anyway, she eventually kicked Johnny out of her house and sought help for her heroin addiction. She claims to be healthy now.
I am healthy now. I am in a good place.
Let's test that theory. Let's look at her latest video to see how she's doing.
There's no instruction manual on how to do this video, so I don't know what I'm doing.
Several times in this video, she claimed to be healthy. This is not what I envisioned a healthy person looking like, at least a mentally healthy person. Any girl with an exorbitant number of tattoos, such as an arm sleeve or a mural on their chest or stomach, obviously has daddy issues. But for one to get a face tattoo, well, that girl is beyond broken. Taylor is only 23 years old. She has at least 50 years left to live with that god-awful face tattoo. And this leads me into my next point. Women are terrible at running their own lives. Even the smartest and most capable of women make the dumbest decisions in regard to their life. Feminism has told women that they can do it themselves, and has encouraged them to seek independence and to attempt to govern their own life. It has been a complete disaster. Women, as we know, are slaves to their emotions. They think subjectively and in the short term. This leads to them incurring thousands of dollars in college debt, delaying or eschewing motherhood, divorcing their husbands, studying for a career that's way over their head, and many other dumb decisions that cost society billions of dollars each year. Decades ago, before the sexual revolution, girls prior to marriage were under the watchful and persistent care of their strong paternal father. Their lives were governed by their parents so they wouldn't go off and do something impetuous and impulsive because, like I said, women do not think or plan into the future. Then the parents would pass the girl off to a dutiful husband of their choice. She lived a healthy, functional life. Today, girls are hardly given any guidance by their absent parents. Then, at the age of 18, they're released into the world, like a domestic dog into the wild. It's dangerous. They're free to indulge on anything society has to offer. It would be one thing if they were allowed to pay for their mistakes, but the society doesn't allow for that, which only perpetuates the problem.
I've come out with a video before about my experience and how I got onto heroin and drugs, and I talked about it, and in the video I mentioned how my ex played a role in me getting into drugs and about the things that he does that he can't keep getting away with doing for far too long now. He's had so many people he has dated or interacted with that he has completely screwed with, done horrible things to, treated horribly, and they speak up and he calls them crazy and he moves on and gets another girl and covers up all the shit with, look how cute this new relationship is, let's focus on this. And I was one of those people right after he completely trashed another woman. I was one of those cover-ups as to look how shiny this pretty thing is, let's not look at the crap, they're just crazy and gross.
Where is the independence and strength of these modern women? They can't take responsibility for their own damn actions. There's no doubt in my mind that some simp would eventually come and save Taylor from all the destructive decisions she had made. He'll come in, marry her, pay her bills, listen to her bitch about her ex, give her kids even, and watch as she divorces him and takes all that he owns. This is the American way, is it not? We watch as women make dumb mistake after dumb mistake, then society or government or simp men come swooping in to save the day. That's why modern women will never reform, because it is profitable for them to screw up their own life. It will only take a massive economic collapse until we see the end of this behavior and feminism as a whole.
And I'm disgusted that he did that. Literally, he left me in this shit mess that he left me in, and just went with a new girl and knocked her up, and it's just like, how can you leave me like that and just go on and make a new family? I always wanted to believe he is a really good person at heart because I've seen it. I've seen the good side of him, and I've wanted to believe that that was him, and he does a really, really good job at convincing you that this horrible side of him isn't the real him. And you don't want to believe it yourself either. Part of me still likes to believe that, but now there's another innocent person in the mix of it, an innocent baby.
She obviously wants this guy back. For all that he has done to her, and for the vicissitude she claims he has put her in, she still desperately wants him back in her life. This video is an hour and 14-minute long admonishment of her ex. How he ruined her life, how he abused her, how he facilitated her drug problem, etc. Men, real men, would immediately recognize a toxic girl and leave her early in the relationship, only ever recalling his time with her when telling ex-girlfriend stories with his buddies when they need a good laugh. Women will stay with a horrible guy far too long until their lives are in shambles, finally dumping the guy and then posting an hour-long rant on YouTube about how terrible the guy was.
This behavior where he was just gone and not him would happen so many times. It was scary. He would do horrifying things where I thought he was gonna just hurt me so many times.
I call bullshit. The minute he truly became a decent person is the minute she would leave him. I'm tired of this narrative that abused women use to describe their abusive men. They claim that men have two sides, the junky, addictive, abusive side, and then a sweet side. Like he's two different people. No, that is who he is. He's duplicitous. He's a manipulative person, and that inconsistency in their behavior is what these broken women like. They complain about it, but it is why they're with them. This is so common with these women. They remain with these men because they truly want to be with them. There's no excuse with all these resources out there that they can use to leave their abusive relationship. It's because they want to stay with them.
But he opened the door and then got in my body and threw me into the wall and went to bed. So no, he didn't just move the door, he physically laid his hands on me and threw me into a wall. The thought crossed my mind again. I could leave. But then I remembered, like, if I just go to sleep, he will be sober in the morning and everything will be okay. And that was just my fucking mantra the entire time I was with him. It's like, it'll be better in the morning. If I just fucking go to sleep, it'll be better in the morning. And so I went in the other bed and I started to cry, and after about an hour, he woke up, he saw I was in the other bed, he was more sober, he says, come on, come to bed, like, come here, babe, and he gets me in the bed and he holds me for a little bit, and I'm like, okay, everything's okay again. He still loves me. I love him. Everything's okay.
See? What did I tell you?
And then we went and we had a good time in Disney. We ran into my mom there, my little brother liked him, we had fun, and that was reassuring to me that, like, things aren't that bad. He always told me that adults get into fights and adult relationships have problems, and that's all this was, is that it's an adult, mature relationship. We're different people, we, get combative sometimes, but that's just because we're so, we're different people trying to live together, and that he's not abusive, because, like, remember how he cooks for me, and remember how he takes me out to my favorite dinner, remember how he's taking me in Disney World to all my favorite restaurants, remember how my little brother loves him, remember how he's being nice to them, remember how he's doing this and this and this, and he just kept telling me, like, remember all this? This means I love you.
What, is she 4? Is she that gullible that Johnny could feed this childish explanation of an adult relationship to her, then take her to Disneyland and make it all better? Johnny abused her, got her addicted to hard drugs, and pulled her down into the madness of his life. Yet she was taken to a theme park, and it convinced her that the relationship wasn't that bad. This shows that only a woman could justify any kind of abuse or dysfunction if she truly wants to be with a guy. As shown in these clips, Taylor desperately wants to get back with Johnny despite everything that happened. Women are their own worst enemy.
I didn't want to admit what he was doing to me was true, and I wanted to know that that good version, that good side of him that I kept seeing every once in a while, that if we just got through the shit, that would be my life, and I'd be with the happy version of him. I'd say like 80% of our relationship was utter shit, and then there was probably even 85%, and then there was this little time every once in a while where he would shower me with all the love and affection and everything I could ever want. He would do everything with me. He would be everything I could ever want. And then he would just disappear again.
She wasn't addicted to all these drugs. She was addicted to the validation her ex gave her. The masculinity she didn't get in her childhood, she tried to get from any guy who gave her the time of day. This is the face of a woman who has deep daddy issues. Avoid women like this at all costs. And that's it. This was the last video she uploaded on her YouTube channel. That was 8 months ago. But you can still find the girl desperately striving for attention on Instagram and Twitter. Like I said in the intro, this video is about excess. Taylor, like so many women, are missing a strong masculine force to limit their emotions and impulses from indulging in excesses. First, she innocently collected animals, but once she achieved fame, she mutilated her body with an overabundance of tattoos. Her pursuit of excess finally led her down to the road of addiction. Taylor desperately needed masculinity to save her from herself and from making horrible decisions that would eventually cost years of her life. Her life is ruined. This is the face of the unbridled, uncontrolled feminine. It is the cancer in our society.